Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we will prepare a BBS format using MS Excel. As I told you in my previous videos, the ultimate goal of preparing a BBS sheet is to calculate the weight of the steel. First, we will start with serial number, then description. Here in this column, we will mention the type of the bar we are using, and next, shape of the bar. If you mention the shape of the bar in your BBS sheet, when the next time you check your BBS sheet, you will understand for what steel bar you are calculated the weight of the steel. And we will mention the dia of the bar we are using. After the dia, I will mention at what spacing I am going to place my steel bars. And the next, I will mention the length of the steel bar I am using. Here I will mention A, B, C. Why I mentioned A, B, C means, because if you see in this example, this will be my A, B, C. So by mentioning all three dimensions separately, it will be more clear for me when the next time I saw my BBS sheet. Okay. Now I will merge this, and then I will keep all the text in center. Okay. And if you again see the calculation of this cutting length, after entering all the dimensions of the steel bar, we done the calculation for bend deductions and then lapping length. So in the BBS sheet, we entered the columns for these dimensions, and we will add columns for bend deductions and lap length also. After the length, I will mention the angle of the bend. And I told you what are the angle of bends that are going to be deducted: 45, 90 degree and 135 degree. I will merge this, and I will mention the bend deductions. Here in these columns, I will mention just the number of bends. For example, in my example, I have two numbers of 90 degree bends. Here I will just mention the number, but the actual calculation I will do here in this column. In the cutting length formula, after length and bend deductions, we have to mention the lapping length. First I will mention number of laps and then lap length. Now we entered all the required columns to calculate the cutting length. Now I will create a column for cutting length. Here I will create a formula for cutting length, and next time when I enter values here in this row, it will automatically calculate the cutting length. And next, number of members, next bars per member, and then total cutting length. Here number of members means, for example, if I have two beams, beam 1 and beam 2, and the dimensions of steel bar of both beams are same, and we use the same numbers of steel bar and same dia, I can directly mention number of members as 2 and the number of bars as 3, and when I multiply the number of members and bars per member and cutting length, I will get the total cutting length. Okay, we created all the required columns to calculate the cutting length in Excel sheet. After cutting length, we need to create a column for unit weight, and after multiplying both cutting length and unit weight of the steel, we can calculate the weight of the steel. And now we will do that in Excel sheet. After cutting length, we will create a formula for unit weight of the steel. And next, weight of the steel. Here it will be a metric ton, and unit of the steel is kg per meter. Okay, we created all the required columns to calculate the weight of the steel. Now I will format this text and give them a border. Now we will calculate the weight of the steel using this BBS format for the same dimensions we calculated in our manual method. Here the serial number is 1 and description for this example I will consider this top bar, and to create the shape of the bar I will select this cell and go to more border styles and draw border. Now I will erase this bottom. If you see this shape, it is same as in the example, so that's why I draw in this shape. And in the example I used 16 mm dia, and in the example I used only one dia, that's why I don't mention any spacing. Now I will mention all the dimensions. Here I am mentioning the dimensions in mm. As you can see here I mentioned all the units in mm. Later I will convert the cutting length into meters. And in the example if you see there are two 90-degree bends. Now I will enter 2, and as I told you before, for 190-degree bend I have to deduct 2 times of dia. Here I have two 90-degree bends, so what I will do is 2 into this 2 refers this one. For 190-degree bend I have to deduct 2 times of dia. Here I am directly using this 16 mm because I entered all the values in mm itself. For this 290-degree bends I have to deduct 64 mm, and here we will mention the number of laps. As I told you before, we will receive a 12-meter length steel bar. So what we will do is we will sum the total length of the bar, and when we divide it by 12 we will receive the number of laps. Here I entered 12,000 because 12,000 mm equals to 12 meters. Here I got 1.15, but the number of laps cannot be calculated in decimals. Now I will round off this, comma 0. That means I don't need any digits after the value. If you mention 1 here, you will get a 1 digit after the value. You see, if you want 1 digit, if you enter 1 here, you will get 1 digit after that, but I don't want any digit. I mentioned number of laps as 1, and the lap length I told you before, it will be 50 times of dia we are using into number of laps. See here the highlighted colors. Okay, and to calculate the cutting length I told you before, it will be sum of the overall length of the bar minus the bend deductions plus the lap length, and here we got the units in mm. I will divide this with 1000. Now I got the cutting length in meters, and the number of members as 1 member because this is only 1 member, and the bars per member also 1. If I used 3 number of bars of these dimensions, I will enter bars per member as 3, but I will consider I used only 1 bar, so that's why I am entering 3. If you have 3 number of bars for your structural detailing, mention 3 here. To calculate the total cutting length, I will multiply cutting length into number of bars into bars per member. I got the cutting length, and unit weight of the steel I told you will be 16 into 16. That means d square divided by 162.2. I got the unit weight also. By calculating the cutting length and unit weight of the steel, you will get the weight of the steel in kgs, and I will divide it with 1000. I get the weight of the steel in metric tons, and I will use this to decrease the decimals. Here if you see, we got the weight of the steel as 0.023 metric ton for this bar of these dimensions. Here if you see in this example also, I got the same value. That's it for this video, guys. I think you understand this video. If you have any doubts, please mention them in the comment section. I will try to clarify them, and I will share this file in the description box. Please download it from there. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and press bell icon for more updates.